What's up, guys? Welcome to another episode of According to Kaz and Queen. And as always, I am Kaz.
And I'm Queen.
And thank you guys, of course, for continuing to join us and for continuing to check out these conversations. These are conversations that happen between a husband and wife in the privacy of our own home that we bring to you guys, sometimes to make you laugh, sometimes to make you think, to be introspective. But most of all, we want to make sure that we open up the lines of communication, man, and folks out there talk. There's a lot of stuff that's going on out there. You can continue to follow us on all streaming services, all right? You can follow us on Spotify, on Apple Podcast, on Google Podcast, on Amazon Music, and, of course, we are on Black with No Chaser Radio. So make sure that you download the Black with No Chaser Radio app, BWNC Radio app. All right. That's whether you are on the Google Play Store or in the iStore. Make sure you download that app and you'll be able to check out According to Kaz and Queen and all of the great podcasts that take place on Black with No Chaser Radio. So every Tuesday night at 7 p.m., you can hear a brand new episode of According to Kaz and Queen. And if you prefer to see our bright, shiny faces, we would love for you to like and subscribe and turn on the notifications to the YouTube page. All right. You know what to do. If you're watching us right now on YouTube, bam, right there. All right. Make sure that you subscribe to that YouTube page. All right. Make sure that you subscribe so you'll be able to check out all of the great content that is on that YouTube page. Of course, this is brought to you by none other than the Kandi Collection.
Dun, dun, dun.
There it is. www.kandicollective.com. That's www.kandicollective.com. Check out all of the great t-shirts, all of the great designs that we have on that website. Myself and my bride. Make sure you check out the special Her Run to Freedom set of designs that we have there as well. They got their own little special pocket, little special place for them on the website where you can go in and check out all of the designs that are inspired by my wife's play, Her Run to Freedom. So make sure that you do that and make sure that you continue to support us in what we're doing, man. It's been a ride so far. But look here. So there's a lot going on. There's a lot happening. And of course, we've had a lot of conversations in our home, but particularly I want to kind of get your thoughts on it because this conversation comes up every year. And it's something that Black folk talk about every year when we get into the spring of the year and these holidays come up. You know, this past weekend, Jackson, Mississippi has one of the biggest St. Patrick's Day parades in the country. I think it's like maybe the third largest St. Patrick's Day celebration that exists in the country. So thousands of people, I think maybe 60, 70,000 people is estimated to have shown up for the St. Patrick's Day parade and all of the events and all of the revelry that takes place after that. And inevitably, of course, the conversations always happen. It happens every year. And it happened this past weekend. The question comes up, you know, where were all of you people during the Martin Luther King parade? And why do you people come out in droves? Black folk come out in droves for St. Patrick's Day and Cinco de Mayo. And why don't y'all show that same love to Juneteenth? And Juneteenth is coming up, and we want to make sure that you guys show that same love to Juneteenth when it comes up. You know, those same conversations are happening. And I think they're valid conversations to have. Well, we have them every year. We just haven't figured out how to get whatever it is that we're trying to figured out, so to speak. But I want to get your thoughts on that because, you know, Juneteenth is coming up in Jackson, Mississippi. We've got a huge Juneteenth festival that takes place on the historic Farish Street. It's going to be the 7th annual Juneteenth on Farish Festival that's coming up. So you'll be hearing more about that as that comes up and that comes along. But why do you think this conversation happens every year? And what do you think for the energy that you see given to St. Patrick's Day versus Juneteenth?
So I think that the reason why the conversation happens is the same reason why people sit up and try to figure out why Sierra wears that dress when she's married. People just like to have contrary things to say. You know, I don't think it has any type of foundation on anything anything that's actually thoughtful or insightful in any way. I think people just like to have something to talk about to be anti. Now, if you want to talk about why that's so, that's a conversation. Like, why is that necessary?
Do you think, just on casual observation, we have, been down to the St. Patrick's Day revelry before. That's something that's not new to us. And then, of course, we've always participated in Juneteenth. We're a part of the folks that helped to put on the festival here, and it's continued to grow every year, although it's kind of new to some folks. But just on your casual observation, do you feel like Black folk put more energy into and more excitement into showing up downtown for St. Patrick's Day than they do for, say, coming down on the historic Fair Street for Juneteenth?
Maybe, but I think that probably is just because Black people like revelry and shenanigans.
I tend to think that. I tend to think we just like to party.
We like to celebrate. We like to, hang out. We like to be in not stressful but entertaining situations. And most of us grew up, for generations in big families. And Sunday dinner was that. You know what I'm saying? Just if nobody came over, just the people in the household, it was still a party kind of situation. And for the life that we live day to day, all of the stuff we go through, the stress and the opposition that's met with just being Black, we need a reason to kick back and have fun. I don't think anybody's given any real thought, even white folks, to what the St. Patty's Day parade is actually about.
Right.
I don't think you could go down there and interview 20 people that could tell you why they there other than to kick it.
True indeed.
They don't know what it's about. And I think that we've done a pretty good job, across the board at people having an understanding about what Juneteenth is. So that takes more of a decision to actually come down there to support that, So I'm actually proud of how Juneteenth has been growing. It's still very new. St. Patty's Day parade is old.
Yeah, it's very
old. It's really like retirement age old. Yeah. So it's I think people are just doing what people do. People gonna people. I don't particularly. We go down there and it has nothing at all to do with
True indeed.
What is happening.
True indeed.
It's just about, your people gonna be there. Somebody gonna be tailgating. It's the same reason why people who don't go to Jackson State tailgate at every football game.
Yeah.
Or who never have any ties to Jackson State who go up there and tailgate.
Yeah.
So we just like revelry. We just like to celebrate.
I think that's it. But if I'm being honest, when I look at it, I personally see a difference in the excitement for St. Patrick's Day amongst Black folk than I do for Juneteenth. Now, here's the caveat to that. For a lot of Black folk, they're just learning about Juneteenth. It's something that's been talked about. We traditionally did not celebrate Juneteenth, in central Mississippi as much as it is celebrated in Texas, of course, in Galveston and the Houston area where it originated from, and not even as much as they have done in Hattiesburg and maybe in places in North Mississippi in the past. I know there are some much older Juneteenth festivals that go on in those cities as well. Shouts out to Hattiesburg and Tupelo, Mississippi. But I still think that there is a great number of Black folk who just have not been taught about Juneteenth. It's something that's become popular because now it's officially a holiday. So now people know about it. But, I think it's kind of new as it stands in, Black folk kind of knowing what it's about, knowing what it stands for, and the celebrations that take place. So, yeah, admittedly, I will say that I see more excitement from Black people for Cinco de Mayo and for St. Patrick's Day and things like that than I do for, Juneteenth. You see a little bit more excitement coming along. It's going to change as it goes over the years. But I still question sometimes people that I know for a fact will be downtown Jackson, Mississippi, or were downtown Jackson, Mississippi, over this past weekend for St. Patrick's Day, and then won't show up for Juneteenth.
Well, Juneteenth is a little different in that the St. Patty's Day Parade and Cinco de Mayo are both centered around alcohol and getting drunk.
Yeah.
We're going to go get drunk. Black folks going to go get drunk, and they're going to do it excitedly.
Yeah.
Juneteenth is about unity.
And the 4th of July.
Yeah, 4th of July too. Mm-hmm. Juneteenth is about you. It's a real reason. And mm-hmm. Black people know the reasons. It's about unity. It's about gathering. It's about freedom. It's more
culture.
It's more of a it touches us differently. It's more of a serious commitment than just putting on some green, going down there, hanging out, falling out drunk, looking at white folks get drunk, So it's a little more of a committed decision to what it stands for and the purpose of it than St. Patty's Day and Cinco de Mayo for us, I think.
Yeah. So, I mean, ultimately, if, you're checking us out and you're following us and you're listening to this conversation, man, find out, where the Juneteenth celebrations are in whatever city that you're listening to us from. If you are in central Mississippi, make sure you come down to the historic Farish Street. All right. I think it's going to be on June 17th this year. Of course, Juneteenth is officially June the 19th, but that Saturday is June the 17th. So come down to the historic Farish Street and celebrate the 7th annual Juneteenth on Farish Festival. So all of you that are listening, if you went down to St. Patrick's Day and you enjoyed the revelry, and if you're planning on going and being a part of whatever happens during Cinco de Mayo, then come check out Juneteenth. I don't think it's not. Well, it's not. I'm not gonna say I don't think it's not centered around alcohol and partying.
No, it's not.
I hate to say that might be a reason why, but there is a celebration that takes place. There is food. There is fun. There is tailgating. It's the same thing. It's just a celebration of culture, and it's
our culture.
It's a celebration of our culture, and I don't expect to see too many white folks down there. We have seen them sprinkled along in the mix as we've been doing it, coming through here and there. But of course, those numbers are not the same. Of course,
and that might be some of the reason too. It's not legitimate to some folks that white folk ain't there,
and that's unfortunate because I think you just hit the nail on the head. It's not a real thing to folks unless there's a lot of white people talking about it.
Absolutely,
and
that is absolutely devastating to my heart.
Yeah.
But it's so true. It's probably the truest thing that I've said so far.
It might be the truest thing. We have done our time. We did our time this year. We always, participate. If in nothing else, we're going to get some drinks. Damn. If nothing else. If nothing else, we're going to have some fun. But, interesting enough, when we were having this conversation this past weekend about partying and about getting out and about the social battery, I learned a new word, social battery. And social battery is basically like your phone battery, except your social battery is like when it runs out, it's talking about the amount of time that you have left to give to a social situation. It was a guy who was talking to his girl. He was whispering in her ear. Somebody was saying, you need you a man, or you need you a husband who will whisper this in your ear. And the caption read, I see that your social battery is about to die. I'm going to go start the car up so we can leave. Kind of like noticing.
Oh, that's so wonderful.
Yeah. I thought that was a cool thing. And it's something that I learned because social battery is a thing. Yeah, it is a thing. It's really a thing. So in that respect, we were having this conversation because I'm going to tell you guys, my wife occasionally goes on a rant, and when we're leaving social functions, I get berated because I might be ready to leave a little sooner than she is ready to leave. It didn't happen this past weekend at St. Patrick's Day. It happened during the weekend, but it didn't happen after the parade, thankfully, because, we started having conversations on trying to figure things out. But my social battery sometimes runs out before your social battery runs out. Sometimes your social battery is not even charged, and mine is. It's the weirdest thing. But there are instances where once I'm out, my social battery, I don't have the same amount of life on it that I did, in previous times. And we got to figure out how to maneuver our way through that. It's a weird thing. What do you got to say about that?
Yeah, we need to figure it out.
That's it?
Yeah.
That's all you got? A lot of dead space and dead air for you folks that are listening. My wife is contemplating on answering. Because, a lot of times I go on the fly and I pop stuff up because I want to get some natural reactions out of her.
Well, here's your natural reaction.
I'm sure for those of you folks that are watching us right now on YouTube, as you saw her face. And shouts out to you folks who got a kick out of some of our content on last week. I figured out how to use Action Director. It's an app that's on my phone. I figured out how to use it and figured out how to highlight and hone in and zoom in on my wife's face on that reaction that she had on our last episode when we were talking about Sierra's dress. I got a real kick out of that. I thought it was absolutely hilarious.
Slightly traumatized.
Are you really?
Yeah.
What'd you think?
And I'm probably gonna be traumatized from this one too.
What did you think when you saw the clip though? Because you asked me how did I do that, so you thought it was pretty cool.
I thought it was funny. Yeah, I thought it was cool.
It was pretty cool.
It was very, it was very good.
Yeah.
I liked it.
Yeah.
The things that were going on in my brain, though,
mm-hmm.
if y'all had any idea, the things that was going on in my brain.
Yeah.
Like I was trying to hold it together. I clearly didn't do such a good job, but I was trying.
You didn't.
I was trying to hold it together.
So I try to catch your natural reaction. So I know those of you that are listening here, in those moments, that's my wife. And if you're watching us, that's my wife in here trying to figure out how to roll out her response.
Well, I don't. Okay, so I get it, but it's like my social battery is usually like I'm never charged socially ever. So when you want to do something, I have to perk myself up to be able to do it because I don't want you to not be able to do stuff because I don't do it because I'm never in the mood, never want to be in large crowds. I'm never prepared for that on my own. I can get prepared for it, but it's not my thing anymore like it was at one point, but now I'm cool on it. So when we go out, I have to have quick, it has to be quick, speedy stimulation. In order for it to happen. So usually what happens is your mood is there in the beginning and mine isn't. And then about, an hour or two in, you already still kicking it, still feeling really good, but I'm still building. Mm-hmm. So by the time I get to where I'm comfortable, you're coming down. Mm-hmm. So there's our balance is not there. So I'm never ever ready to be done when he's done. It's
like your social battery has to be charged. And we leave the house and your social battery is kind of like on maybe 18, 19, if we're just going like on cell phone battery charging terms, to use an analogy. And then when we get to the place that we get to, it's like you find a plug to plug your charger up and you charge your battery.
Well, you got to understand that I have also taught myself I am a extroverted introvert. Mm-hmm. So I have taught myself it's like a suit, like a superhero suit that I put on when I leave my house and I know that I'm going out in public to deal with a lot of people. I put this suit on. When I get that suit on, that's the me you gonna get. I'm gonna be the happy person, I'm gonna be in the corner making conversation. That's not naturally who I am. I could actually just sit in the corner and have a drink. But in order for me to be able to, spend time with people and make the experience worthwhile, I have to do that. So but that includes drinking for me. Mm-hmm. I'm not saying this is the most healthiest way to be, but this is what I do. So you stop drinking, so you're coming down, you sleepy at this point, and I'm like, and it could be 9:30 for me. There's no reason to come out if I got to be back at home at 9:30. Like that does not I can't even make that make sense in my brain. So unless it's dead or something, but if we're in the midst, like in this particular situation, things were just starting to pick up for everybody in the club. Everybody, because we were there during the like happy hour time frame. So it was just picking up for everybody. The DJ done started playing and everything is popping at this point. Now you ready to go? This what we came for.
So this is the moment where I feel like you have found an outlet inside the venue and you've plugged up your charger and your social battery goes up to 100. We walked into the venue and you were on like 18, 19, 20. You plugged in while we were there, and then your social battery charges up to 100%. At the time that your social battery charges up to 100%, I have left the house at like 80, 90%. And once I've gotten to the venue, my battery continues to decline as we're there. And then once we get to a point where it gets, under 50, 40%, at that point, I'm like, okay, well, we've kind of, shot our load on this one right here. And then it's time to go, in my estimation. But at that point, you've charged it up to 100%. So we're at two different spots at this point, which is wild because, once you get in and get in the midst of happening, it's sometimes a chore to get you revved up to get out of the house. But once you get out the house and you get into the spot, if it's something happening and there's some stimulation there, you're going to be ready to stay. And once I come out after I've been out for about 2 or 3 hours, I'm in a different place at that point, which is just weird.
Well,
our social batteries are just different.
I'm a Taurus. We overindulge in things.
We've talked about that, though.
It's very difficult for me to let go of a good time. Because I work real hard to enjoy my good times. I want my good times to be good times always.
I'm going to tell you this, and I was thinking about it because I was really trying to figure out the social battery thing and how we could get on the same page with that. I know for a fact, like for me, I feel like I don't have anything to prove in that department. I feel like when the Hall of Fame is opened and the party in Hall of Fame actually has its first ceremony, I feel like I'm a first ballot. I'm a first ballot party Hall of Fame. So
you feel like I'm trying to prove something?
I don't feel like you're trying to prove anything. I don't feel like I have anything to prove in that if I go out and I'm out for a couple of hours and it gets to the point where I'm like, I'm cool. This is a good stopping point right here. I'm cool. I feel like that's okay. That's cool.
It is okay. The only problem is that
you're not ready.
I'm not at a stopping point.
Right.
I'm probably actually, by the time you get to your stopping point, I'm just now starting to
you got a
come
quick
alive.
Incline. You got a real quick incline, buddy. You go from 0 to 100 like super duper fast too.
I taught myself to be that way.
It just be catching me off guard. I'll be ready. And I remember, we can all tell the stories, and you have the same stories. Like there's some St. Patrick's Days, events and some parades that I don't even remember. That, people will show me pictures and I don't even recall anything that's ever happened. I've blacked out in some of the best places that there are to black out in the world, partying until 5 or 6 in the morning.
I don't know that guy.
Yeah.
That was before me.
Yes,
I have not experienced him in any fashion.
You don't know that. You've gotten in the early stages of our marriage and in our courtship before the breakup in between. You caught some glimpses of him because there were some hangover mornings. There were some hangover times that you can recall. You might not recall.
I don't recall.
There were a few in far in between.
I'm not denying it, but I don't recall it.
You might have been blacked out yourself. But it's a good possibility that it happened. But I've partied with the best of them. I've been drunk with the best of them. I've blacked out in some of the best places, I'm pretty sure, all across this country. Times that I can't even remember. Woken up in jail on one of those occasions. I've done it all. I'm a first ballot party Hall of Famer. So at this point, I can't duplicate those days. And I also made a pledge after the last really bad hangover that I had. I also made a pledge that I don't ever want another hangover.
Oh, again. I've made several of those pledges.
Yeah, you're still working your way into it.
So the reason why I have to have the experience be a good experience for me is because I do spirit work. I'm always drained. So when I go out, I have to, use things to stimulate me so that I'm able to even be there, to even deal with the energy. So I think our issue is just about timing. I think that's the issue.
Yeah.
And, we maybe we need to figure out, what that looks like actually, because it really, really bothers me to be ready to kick it and party and have to leave because you're ready to go. Yeah, that's a real problem for me.
We do have to figure that out. And I think that's something that, a lot of couples have to figure out, that have two, they're on two different ends of the spectrum when it comes to partying. And a lot of times, and it's crazy, a lot of times your social battery is, on zero and not charged at all when we're at home, and my social battery is charged up and ready to go. And we don't even make it out the door. When you get out the door, once I get you out and we get to the place that we're going to, it's going to get up to 100%.
I know, because I'm going to put the superpower suit on. I'm going to do that. But when I'm at home, I don't have a social battery. At home is my place to.
Well, you know what I mean? Like, you aren't at 100%. You're not on 10-10 with the partying at that point. It's not even on your mind. Like, if you're here, you could just stay here. If you're at home, you could just stay at home without going out. So, I mean, it takes a lot for me to be in those places. It takes a lot for me to be social. That's what I need you to understand. It takes a lot for me to be social. So I have to, get myself stimulated enough to even be there. Right.
The issue is that while I'm reveling up, you coming down.
Yeah.
Because it don't take that much, or I guess you already ready by the time you decide you're going to go.
Once I get a good buzz,
it take me a day
I'm good
to even wrap my head around going somewhere.
And I understand
can't spontaneously go anywhere. You have to, if we're going somewhere, I need days.
Well, we've been spontaneous occasionally, but it wasn't to a party. It was going out, but
right.
It wasn't
I'm talking about,
like,
say, for instance, the parade. If I'm going to a parade, first of all, I'm probably going to say no, because I'm not comfortable there. But let's just say I say, okay, let's go. I'm going to go. I need 3 days to wrap my head around what I'm about to walk into. Now, when I get there, if I have the proper preparation, then, I'm going to have fun. I'm going to have a good time.
Well, drinking for us is definitely prep work. We got to prepare, at least for me, we got to prepare like we're really going into it. Like we're going to war. We got to prepare for it. BC intact, water, I'm
not talking about drinking. I'm talking about energy.
You're talking about energy. I got it.
But you're right.
I got it. But yeah, it's a preparation thing at the end of the day. I cannot do another hangover at this age. The last one that I had, and it's been quite a while since I had it, it had me down so bad that I don't want to have that feeling ever again. It was terrible. It was horrible. And I remember the time where I could drink until 6 or 7 in the morning and sleep for an hour and get up and go to work, or get up and go through a full day, or get up and go work out at the gym. I can remember those times. Last time I had a hangover, it literally took me almost 72 hours to get over it. It was 2 days of me feeling horrible and nauseated, and which I found out later on is because I was not really good at drinking water, by the way. There was that issue. So a lot of things I figured out after going to the doctor and, reading and learning. I just wasn't a good water drinker. That was also one of the reasons why my hangovers were so severe at that time, because I wasn't drinking water. But, we'll get that figured out, I guess, at the end of the day, the social battery thing. I thought that was a good term. And,
I thought the meme is just special.
Yeah, it is.
I like that.
It is. It is. I
haven't. To be that thoughtful to just walk over there and say, I'm going to go get the car, let's go. That's really thoughtful.
Yes. I would like to do that to you. I would very much like to come to you and say, baby, I see that your social battery is about to go out. Let me go start the car and let's get out of here.
It's more likely that I would be doing it to you.
And you'd be like, hell no, I ain't ready to go.
Turn up.
Yeah. Who you gonna start the car for, yourself? You might be ready to go, but I'm not. My social battery is on 1,000. Let's do it, baby. Or you could come over to me, definitely, for sure, and be like, baby, I see that your social battery is getting low.
Yeah, I could use that almost every time we go out, actually.
Yes. I pray that, we get there. We hadn't got there yet. I don't think there's been a time yet. There have to be something in you that's like, I could probably go right now, and then I might get there.
I mean, I do, for the most part. It really is not that bad unless... Like, it was that bad this particular time because everybody in there except you was progressing where I was in the same way that I was progressing. Mm-hmm. You dropped before everybody else.
It's the timing, like we were talking about it. Of course, I continued to get berated after I made the suggestion.
Why do you keep saying that?
Because, baby, you were going in. You know how long you went in on that trip back to the house when we came back to the house.
The entire ride.
And you got out of the car and you were still talking on your way up to the door.
I was miffed.
You were miffed, and I had to hear it. And then even when I tried to, Lord have mercy, ladies and gentlemen, even when I tried to come up with a suggestion of, okay, let's just wait and go out later so that we can catch it. For instance, if the club was about to turn up at 9 when we left, which it was just getting to the point where people are starting to come in. Let's catch it right before 9, and let's get in there. I don't have a problem with that. That's not what you said.
You tried to say that to me in the middle of my outburst.
Yeah, I said that wasn't to you responsible. I said it, and I said it clearly.
Babe, I wasn't listening to you.
Oh, okay. You were just committed. You were committed to.
I was expressing myself, and I wasn't even necessarily talking to you. I was talking about the situation out loud.
And I quote, "Baby, why don't we just wait and go later?" Fuck that. That's how that went.
I don't even recall that.
There you go. See what I'm talking about? This is what happens. This is what happens.
I don't even recall hearing you say that.
The ride back when I had to just sit there and listen to you over there in that passenger seat go in, and it was the longest ride back that it ever was, and you got out of the truck still going in after we got out. And I suggested 2 occasions when you was like, we got to figure this out. I was like, well, let's just go later. And you was like, no, fuck that. And I was like, let's just leave the house at 9 o'clock. Why would I do that? Because we left the house if we leave the house at 5:30 or 6 going someplace, chances are really good that I'm not going to make it past 9:30, 10 o'clock, unless we doing something just that's magnificent that's out there.
If we leave the house at 9 o'clock, you gonna be asleep.
Oh no. If I am prepared, see, here's the difference. No, I'm not gonna let you do that. Here is the difference. Because I know if we're going out, I know how to lay down, get myself ready. I can get up and be ready to go and be out of the house because I'm preparing myself for a 9 o'clock departure. So I know what's happening. It's like when I used to do shows. You know this. I knew what I was preparing for, and I was leaving the house at 9 to 10 o'clock. I knew what I was going to have to do when I got there, and I knew how long I was going to be there.
Okay.
At the end of the day. So, I mean, we'll get it together. But that was just funny. I think we'll try that. We'll keep y'all tuned in on how we're working out the social battery thing. If you have not seen the Netflix show Kandi Burress, if you have not seen Black as Fuck on Netflix, I want you guys to go and check out that show. I think it's episode 2 or 3 when Kandi Burress and his wife go to the concert and they meet their daughters there. I want y'all to go check out that episode, because when you go check out that episode, it will give you probably the best interpretation of what it's like when me and my wife go out and my wife turns
Baby, that's what you think?
Baby, that's exactly what happens. What happens in that episode is what I go through every time we go out. I'm getting a water bottle slapped out of my hand. I'm having to go grab you from the corner somewhere, and I'm just sitting in there just trying to just make sure that we don't go to jail by the end of the night.
And I'm over there in the corner doing hip-hop battle dancing.
Yes, you battle dancing, dance battling against random people over in the corner. It's funny. Just wild. Go and check out that go check out that
watch
episode.
That episode now.
It's funny because I
gotta watch it again.
When you watch it, that will give you an idea of Kaz and Queen out on the town. That is what we're dealing with. I'm Kandi Burress, and she is his wife in that instance, and you will see literally almost every night.
That's hilarious.
that's what I have to deal with, and that's what I have to go through. At any rate, something else that we were talking about, and I think you brought it up as well, and I couldn't wait to come in and talk about it because, incidentally, you were just revisiting the Xscape and SWV verses the other day.
Mm-hmm.
And lo and behold, right after that happened, they were in the news again, and there was a lot of talk about, the new show. And there was a conversation that came up, and Kandi brought the conversation up again about who should be headlining the tour with SWV and Xscape. And she said that it definitely should be Xscape, and SWV is not being booked for as much money. I think Tiny might have actually said that. And of course, it started the conversation on Twitter about who should be headlining and who's better and who's got most this and who's got the most what. And you were just looking at the verses again, and we talked about this. So I want to get your thoughts on that, as we watched that and we talked about the verses, actually, as a matter of fact. But who do you think should be headlining?
I think they should be co-headlining.
And that's pretty much everybody's thought process on it. But people just don't tend to be diplomatic like that. It seems like the easiest thing. Now, the co-headlining thing is what was suggested. Kandi seems to think that there should not be a co-headlining and that Xscape should be the headliner.
Yeah. Well, Kandi gonna shoot her shot anytime she can to get more coins.
Mm-hmm.
She's gonna always shoot her shot, and she's always in branding and marketing mindset. And they should all be thankful to her because of it, because they are all on TV because of Kandi. All of them.
Do you feel like that?
Absolutely. Her relationship with these networks is what has put them in a position to be on their own reality show. She is solely responsible for that, in my opinion.
She's solely responsible.
Maybe a little help from Tiny, maybe. But the rest of them are just in the boat for the ride. Now, the reason why I think they should be co-headlining is because of the reason why they say they are doing this tour. For the fans. Mm-hmm. They say they're doing it for the culture, for the history of it. If that's the case, both of y'all have solidified places in history. Both of you have fans. In fact, y'all share fans. It's not even like they separate. Y'all share fans. Very, very. They are the ones who are making people choose SWV over Xscape. Before that, people were taking both of y'all at the same time for the same reason. So I think that this is just Kandi shooting her shot. I hope they work it out to where I hate that they put that show on TV too, because I didn't need to see SWV the way that I see Xscape with all the drama and stuff. I'd rather, although they're not fighting with each other. I'd rather just leave some mystery to who they are, because having the show, Kandi on her show, and SWV, and Latasha has been on R&B Divas. You get to know who they are, and it kind of crashes and burns for you, when you're a fan. And before this, we didn't have that kind of access to them.
Man.
It's like hardening to see who they are, like in real life.
You're hearing these stories that are coming out, and then, looking at the story about Tasha and her sister, and her sister, I mean, with the just hurt, the hurt that was there about, Tasha, allegedly stealing money from her, and, remembering, what the sister had been going through, because she had been going through some trials and tribulations on her own. And then come to find out that there is this tension between the two sisters. And also, in the same token, with Tasha, who I feel, now that I'm looking at it in hindsight and I'm looking how everything has kind of developed, Tasha really, unfortunately, has probably been jealous of Kandi for a very, very long time.
I don't know if it's jealousy, but there's definitely resentment, because she was supposed to get a solo deal, and the solo deal went away, and then Kandi got her deal, and her record actually came out. This girl still hasn't had a solo deal.
Right.
So I don't know if it's jealousy. Surely at this point it could be, but I'm definitely sure that there is some resentment, because, and I guess I don't know, Kandi might be capable of doing something underhanded to tank her project, but I mean, carrying that grudge so long, it's just
It's a
really,
long time.
really, they've been on tour, and that energy between them two is just festering in everything they do. They keep trying to do it, and she keep going and coming, and Kandi didn't want to do it at one point, and then she got on board, and then Latasha didn't want. Like, it's just so much drama. They are all really big on ego. They think very highly of themselves individually, and I think it just clashes from time to time.
It's unfortunate. I mean, in SWV, they had their issues with Coco. Coco had, her Kandi complex for a while, is what I call it, for lack of a better term. But
but Coco is the lead singer.
That lead singer complex that
she doesn't
exists.
share that. Coco, the lead singer.
On most of the songs, yes.
Coco is the lead singer.
Yes,
what
but
you mean?
She's not lead.
Taj sing on one song.
She sings on more than one song, doesn't she?
I'm sure she does, but it's only one that made it to Hitville.
Yeah, deep cuts.
Yeah,
they got some deep cuts.
They got some deep cuts.
Those are the deep cuts.
But I think that's the difference with them. I think they knew that she was the lead singer, and she still decided she didn't want to do it, and she wanted to do it on her own. And I don't think that she handled it appropriately with them. So they had their issues,
right,
about that. But they managed to get it back together, and they seem cool on the show now.
Yeah, when watching the show, of course, Lily was, she was staying in a hotel for a minute, and she had those things going.
Living
on.
in a car, she was driving around at nighttime because she couldn't sleep until 5:00 because she parked in the stadium. Like, it was really rough for her for a while.
Yeah, which is. It's an indictment on the music business, I guess, at the end of the day. A lot of people will say indictment is probably not the word, but, for them to have gone platinum a couple of times and have the songs that they have, we've heard the story a million times, but, all of them have kind of been, except for, in this particular instance, except for Kandi and Tiny, who have writing credits on other things, and they're making money even when they're asleep from the royalties from these songs that are doing. Of course, Tasha and her sister, I forget what her sister's name is, but
I think it's Tamika.
Tasha and Tamika, they had opportunities to write for other people, I'm sure, and do other things. I know Tamika went and started her family, and she had her kids, so she was kind of doing her thing. There for a minute, there wasn't really a market for it out there at all. Kandi was doing her thing, being on the Housewives and being a businesswoman. And of course, Tiny being T.I.'s wife, she stayed in the mix, but everybody else kind of just floated into obscurity a little bit and played the back a little bit until, of course, this resurgence of these 90s artists coming back again. We've seen Guy, we've seen, of course, New Edition stays on tour. We've seen all these people who've been able to come back up and, start their careers back up again. It's just really, weird to see, how this business works. And, you say never meet your heroes. And,
man,
social media has gotten to the point where, we kind of see the very ugly downside of being a part of this. But all of that being said, all those things being equal, I kind of went through and did just a cursory, glance at some of the bigger hits. And for me, at the end of the day, if we're going to put it down to who should be headlining type thing based upon jams, SWV would edge them out.
Really?
On jams.
Well, Tiny and Kandi's reason for believing that they should be the headliners is that they have the fans base now. New fans, people who were not around listening to their music, who know them from reality TV.
Right.
So their argument is, we're bringing you the audience. The people who are going to come and see you, we gonna bring their children. You know what I'm saying?
That's almost a valid argument, because Kandi is a big thing. I've seen her on several other shows. She was just on Shannon Sharp's podcast, as a matter of fact. Her big thing is like, I don't care what you did in the past, what you're doing now, are you relevant now? She's really huge on that, and she says it all the time, and
because she's worked real hard to stay relevant,
particularly because she's still kind of relevant right now. But the people that know her from reality TV. They know her from writing Tardy to the Party. They know that, and they probably know that she wrote No Scrubs. If you recall, when the Real Housewives of Atlanta, first started, Kandi kind of had to introduce herself to a lot of the new people who did not know what her history was and what her career was. If I'm going to a show and the fans that were listening to Xscape and SWV, if I'm going to the show, I'm not going to the show based upon me knowing Kandi from her current endeavors. And I'm not going to the show based upon Tiny being T.I.'s wife. I'm going to pay my money if I'm going to see them or a guy or a New Edition or Albie Shore or Bobby Brown or anybody. I'm going for the jams. And I'm going to hear the jams.
And that's SWV's argument.
Yes.
So they both have legitimate arguments, for their perspectives. Mm-hmm. So I just hope they figure it out, because if it's about who's going to headline and not being able to make a decision, so we're not doing this tour, that would be sad.
I don't think they're going to, mess this bag over. I think it's going to happen eventually, but, I don't think the people that know Kandi from the Housewives shows or her and Tide on their show having a restaurant, those people are not going to a concert to see her sing. They don't know that. They'll come see her be on a panel or they'll come see her be on a show. But I don't think any of those new people that are seeing that, on
the show, she talks about shows. So they know that she sings.
Yes.
And if they're her fans, they probably will come see her.
They might at the end of the day. I say, let Xscape, headline when you're in the South, in the southern states. And then you let SWV headline when they go along the East Coast.
That's a good idea, but I think they only gonna do one show. One big show.
Oh, they're only doing one big show.
That's what they were talking about on the last episode.
They're screwing the bag up. They're doing that. They really.
Well, that's because Latasha is in and out. They can't lock her down.
Yeah.
I feel like, go let her do her thing, and y'all have performed with just the 3 people.
Yes.
So let her do her thing. Stop begging her.
I don't know what be happening with these husbands, man. Why they come in and screw everything up?
Well, it's also noted that it's allegedly the lady that he was supposed to have had an affair with a couple of years back that came out. Apparently, it's back, and the girl has receipts. And so now that's up again, and she claims that the relationship has been happening for the whole 5 years. So the sister is saying he's a crook, and the girlfriend there's a side lady who is saying that he is a cheater. And Latasha is in a trauma bond.
Yeah.
Like there is no other.
Because that is the one person I think out of everybody that is doting on her and lifting her up, saying that you're the best artist
Just pick
that there
the
is.
Microphone up, and if I'm honest, I could never listen to. I've had enough. I don't need her. I don't need her.
What?
She do too much. Like
what?
I don't even know what she actually sounds like because she run every word.
You're not a fan of the runs, of the extra runs.
I'm a fan of correctly placed runs.
Yes, correctly placed
I'm a
runs.
fan of Brandy. She runs a lot. I'm a fan of Jasmine Sullivan. She runs a lot. I'm a fan of Yolanda Adams. She runs a lot. So I like a good placed, well placed run, but you don't have to run every word in your sentence. And she seems like she's trying to convince people every time she opens her mouth that she's a better singer than Kandi.
Is that really hard to do, though?
I don't like Candy's voice per se, but Kandi can sing.
She can carry a tune.
She can sing. She has control. She has vocal control as well.
She's T-Boz to me.
Yeah, I'd say that's true. She might be a little bit more vocally
She's a little bit better
skilled than T-Boz, but it's safe. It's a safe comparison.
She's T-Boz.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, I think Tasha can sing personally.
Of course you do.
Now, why is that? Is that kind of a shot?
No.
Why are you saying that?
Because we don't agree when it come down to.
I agree on the.
You don't think you don't even like Brandy, so I can't really take your argument serious.
I did not say that I don't like Brandy.
You have a problem.
That.
You don't like her voice?
No, I didn't say that. I just said that her voice does not sound like angels coming from upon high. That's all I said. That's it. You said that Brandy's voice sounds like angels coming from up on high. That's how you described it. And I was like, no, I don't think it's angels.
It definitely
coming from up on high.
It does. It does. And I stand by it.
That's an over exaggeration and an oversimplification of Brandy's skill set. Okay. She does not sound like angels coming from up on high.
Yes, she does.
She's not that good.
Yes,
she's good, but she's not that good.
She is.
Okay. And I knew we would get there. You know, I understand it. We've talked about Music Soul Child and, you know, his proclivity for extra runs.
Yes.
So we've talked
That's
about
exactly the same thing. Like music, I
thing.
love listening to him on a CD or a playlist. But when he sings live, it's almost like he think he gotta beat us over the head with his vocal ability.
Runs. Yeah, you don't need to do that. You know,
we know you can sing.
The runs are like, you know, for people who watch wrestling, the runs are like the super kicks. Like you should only do them when it's necessary.
Correct.
To do them. You should not overdo the super kicks, and you should not overdo the runs.
Yeah,
that's
exactly right.
Speaking of which, segue, boom, because I'm the segue king. WrestleMania is coming up this weekend, and we're going to be watching. This is going to be your first WrestleMania that you're going to be watching in maybe 10 years, maybe. Yeah.
No, I've watched a couple of WrestleManias. I haven't been watching wrestling as much, but I've seen a couple of WrestleManias.
This is the first one that you've been in, that you've actually been in tune with storylines.
Sure.
And with, you know, what's going on outside of just one or two storylines. So WrestleMania is coming up.
I'm excited.
Yes.
Super excited.
Roman Reigns, Cody Rhodes, one of the best storylines that has taken place in a long time. Real quick before we move on. A prediction. Of course, we know that it's scripted. You know, they know who's going to win right now at this point. Well, they're saying that they don't. They're trying to take it down to the wire. Because incidentally, Vince McMahon wants people to start betting on WWE matches, which I don't see any way that doesn't go wrong at some point, because all of it is scripted. Yeah, so I don't know.
He's gonna have to do some. I
don't know how that's gonna work.
Changing things around.
I don't know how it's gonna work. But real quick, you know, Roman Reigns versus Cody Rhodes. Who do you see coming out on top?
I see reasons why both of them could win. But I'm going to go with Roman.
Yeah.
But I do understand why you've mentioned to me that, you know, Cody came back and
he didn't come back.
He didn't come back to lose.
Yeah.
But if Cody does win, I think he'll lose it back to Roman.
You're not a fan of Cody, and I don't think a lot of people are a fan of Cody. I'm not really a fan of him. He's not his dad. I'm just gonna say.
A couple of weeks ago, he did what y'all call him? He was in the ring with somebody talking.
A promo.
He did a promo that was very, very, very moving, and I was like, "Oh, okay, so he is good." Because I've been for the longest time since I've been back watching it, I have been having difficulty getting past his lisp. So this time,
his daddy had a lisp.
This time, for some reason, it wasn't that noticeable. I guess I've gotten back into the real swing, and I'm in now, and I'm not really paying attention to
those things you don't really pay attention to.
Yeah. But he was really good on the mic.
The storyline is really good. I don't know what Cody's inclusion now in the storyline, because you got Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. I don't know.
I love Kevin Owens.
I don't know where that's going to go. So I'm intrigued as to what's going to happen. So you know.
Yeah, you used to be able to, like, we could sit back and say this finna happen. Now we were
kind of able to tell, because I figured that Jay was going to, you know, side with his family, and they were just kind of drawing it out.
I didn't know. I felt like maybe Jay was going to end up having to.
You got, actually, when he hugged Sami Zayn, you got mad because you thought that was the end of it. We were actually in here watching that, and you were mad.
I was fighting mad. I was like, no. I was fighting mad. When he kicked him, I was like, yes.
Yeah.
I want them to lose.
Yeah.
I'm definitely for the Usos, and I think that they will. I don't know if they'll win either.
You don't know.
I don't know, because I halfway feel like somebody gonna turn on Roman.
It could be, and it could happen. And then there's rumors that he's supposed to take a very long break after WrestleMania.
Oh, well,
so,
he losing it then.
Yeah, he might lose. So who knows? He's carried the company for almost 3 years. So I mean, there's that.
They think Cody gonna be able to come in and
that's what they think.
and
We're
be
gonna have
the
to see.
new Roman.
I don't know. We're gonna have to see about that.
What they gonna do with Roman? Like, where do you go after that?
Yeah, I mean, you can't. Like, he's a once in a generation. This is a once in a generation run. At any rate, I definitely want to talk about this before we get out of here. Because it happened again, and I want to get your thoughts on it. Barbie Bassett, anchor from WLBT here in Central Mississippi, was relieved of her duties, apparently, because she came on the air and said for Shizzle My Nizzle, which was inappropriate, and, habitually, maybe about the third or fourth time that she's crossed the line. But there's a lot of people who, of course, there's a lot of white folks who don't think she should have been fired, and incidentally, and not shockingly, but disappointingly, there's a lot of black people who feel like it was also unnecessary and didn't feel like there was anything wrong with it. I'm on the other side of that fence, but I want to get your thoughts on it.
I think they had to fire her because she's a liability.
Yes.
They don't know what she gonna do, when she gonna do it, or what she gonna say at any point. They had no control over it because either she's ignorant or she's lost her mind.
Or she knows what she's doing.
Or she knows what she's doing, but she would have to have lost her mind to think that is going to continue to fly. But I think that she is just then got to the point to where she don't feel like she needs to hide who she really is anymore. Mm-hmm. And I just think she just don't care. And I'm glad that they fired her. Mm-hmm. I think they should have fired her the first time, but but the chance that everybody's talking about, she didn't mean it. Y'all should give her a chance. They gave her a chance, and she did it again.
They did.
She had her chance.
They did, and
she did it again. So she deserves exactly what she got.
And what anybody at any job that has been reprimanded before, and you've gone before HR, and they've given you a warning for anything. Mm-hmm. Inappropriate behavior, inappropriate conversations, being late, whatever the case is, she got a chance to fix it. She was reprimanded. She went to sensitivity training, and they allowed you to apologize on the air to get you back on, to smooth it over, and then people would have forgotten about it.
And the apology she gave was insulting.
Yes. But
she had the argument to say, I gave one. So, okay, you gave an apology. And it could have been better. People would have been like, okay, she slipped up. Right. But you don't slip up like that twice, especially after you done had to give an apology you didn't want to give.
Yeah.
So you had to be thoughtful about the fact that you did that.
Right.
And to turn around and do it again is a big old middle finger to black folks.
It is.
So the folks of African descent that don't have a problem with what she's saying, you should check yourself, because obviously you are oblivious to our history and who we are. And this turn the other cheek attitude that you have is the reason why we are still oppressed in so many areas. So you are a part of the problem. And I'm glad that you don't speak for me and my family or any of the folks that I know.
And I'm mad that you have a platform to sound so ignorant as a black person over social media, saying that, it was this and she deserves another and she shouldn't lose her job and, she didn't mean it or whatever the case is, or she was just trying to be cool. Listen, and this goes, and I'm going to say this to, any white people who might be watching this. If there's an instance where you feel like you need to be quote unquote cool or to seem hip, I want you to resist that urge. I want you to take that urge and I want you to suppress it, because y'all trying to be cool and trying to be hip and use slang terms is what gets you into these situations every time, whether you mean it or not. Barbie, in your quest to try to be cool, you're not cool. You are a 60-something-year-old white woman. You're not cool. Don't try to say stuff that Snoop says. When Martha Stewart said it, we had the same problem when Martha Stewart said it at the same time, because she didn't need to say it, because nizzle is a form of the N-word. Nizzle was put in to be palatable to, radio and otherwise, so that you would not have to say the N-word. And anybody that has listened to that knows that to be the case. And, you could just look at Patrick's face, the meteorologist. You could just look at his face and tell that he was uncomfortable. And, the word is that, there have been several uncomfortable moments like that.
If she'll say it on the air, can you imagine what's happening when they not filming her?
It's ridiculous.
Come on, man. Y'all got to be smarter.
It's ridiculous. Listen, And I'm seeing white people arguing with black people on social media. You're arguing with black people about your right to be able to say an offensive word.
That's racist.
That is racist.
That is racist.
We have asked you over and over again. We have told you that it's not appropriate for you to say it. We've told you that you cannot say it. We have told you that we can say it because we have taken the word that white people created, by the way. We have taken the word, we have co-opted it, we have made it a term of endearment, and we use it amongst ourselves. For us, not for you. For us. Now, if black people are watching this and you have a problem with black people using that word, that's a conversation that we can have. We can have that conversation.
And you have the right to feel that way.
You have a right to feel that way, but that's an internal conversation that we need to have amongst ourselves. But white people are not permitted to say the N-word in any form with the A, with the ER, or the izzle on the end. It's not for you to say at all, period. It is offensive for you to be able to say that. And the fact that y'all are actually arguing with black people.
So she can't say it, but you can?
Right.
Yes.
Yes.
I can.
Why are you arguing with black people about something that we have told you is offensive? Why are you, like, white people, why are y'all in such a hurry to say the N-word? Why are y'all so excited to say the N-word?
You can't tell them no. They don't believe that there's anything in the world that a white person should not be able to do.
Which
is racist.
Which is racist.
And problematic.
Listen, I don't understand it. I don't get it. You know, some white folks just don't understand the concept. And I don't understand why you're the only race that does not understand the concept of what we're talking about. If a Native American comes to me and says the term redskin is offensive to me, don't use it, I will say I will not use it because I am a compassionate human being, and I don't want to offend someone who has told me about a word that offends them. If a Jewish person says, don't call me the K word, which is kike, if a Jewish person says that and says, do not call us that is offensive to us, then I have no problem not using that word. If a gay person says, don't call me the F word, don't call me a faggot, if they say that, then of course, I'm not going to use those terms. Because those people have said that. If a Hispanic or Latino person says whatever, there's several derogatory comments or several derogatory terms that people use for Hispanics and Latino people. If they say don't use these words and they are offensive to us, don't use them and don't say them to us, even though we might use them amongst ourselves, then as a compassionate human being, you say to yourself, okay, I won't. I'm not going to call you redskin. I'm not going to call you this. I'm not going to call you that. White people are the only race of people that I have seen that have an issue when someone tells them to not say something that's offensive.
They are also the race of people who cause the oppression of these other organizations, of these other races. So they don't have the ability to have compassion because they have not been racially oppressed as a people. They don't understand it. They have not experienced it.
They don't know the concept.
So they cannot be compassionate. They don't hold compassion for racism because they are the creators of it.
It's like Native Americans said to you, don't name your football teams after us. It is offensive. And the owner of the Washington football team had to almost be forced to change the name of the football team. Native Americans said this term is offensive to us, and white folks, some white people, were online mad and saying that they were going to boycott the Washington football team and actually arguing back and forth with people for their ability to be offensive to an entire race of people. Why do we have to continuously go back and forth with you folks about this? It is unbelievable, the conversations that I've been seeing, and it's disappointing that we have to have these conversations. Just don't be a horrible human being. If you're not a horrible human being, then you should have no problem with not saying derogatory terms and arguing.
Even if you don't agree that it's derogatory.
Yes.
Just because somebody tells you they feel offended is enough.
Yes.
Even if it's one person, that's enough.
And it's not even that people are, people are like, people have soft skin these days and they're easily offended and, they're this and they're that and they're that. No, it's not that we're being offended. It's just that we're not going to allow you to say something disrespectful to us and derogatory to us. It's really just that simple. So at the end of the day, good riddance. Barbie Bassett. You know, you may turn up on another TV station someplace, but you had chance after chance. After the Grandmammy incident, you got another chance. And you had the ability then at that point to just shut your mouth and do the weather, and you would have been able to keep your job. But instead, you tried to be cool and you tried to be hip, and you said something that, you know, even if you didn't know what it meant, it was in too much of a gray area given the trouble that you had been in.
Yeah.
It was too much of a gray area for you to
And it's
even
pretty
go somewhere.
fresh.
Yeah.
The last time wasn't that long ago.
Yeah, and it really wasn't. It's within the last 5 to 6 months. So, you know, all of you folks that say you're going to boycott WLBT, that's fine. Stop watching them. We don't care at the end of the day. Take this L and hold on to this L, because when history is written, I want y'all to understand what side of history y'all are going to be on. All of you people who are online arguing with WLBT about firing someone for saying something that was damn offensive to a group of people. I just
For the second or third time.
For the second or third time. You know what I'm saying? And on that note, we're going to end this show right here, and we're going to go on and do our thing before we get ourselves wound up, because I'm sure we could talk about that for another hour. But we appreciate you guys for checking in with us again. Make sure that you are liking and subscribing to the YouTube page, and share it with a friend. Make sure that you are downloading the podcast, sharing it with a friend. Share the link with the friends, man. You know, we're slowly building up our listenership, you know, one person at a time. Shouts out to all the people that, you know, we have seen recently that, you know, said that they're subscribing and saying that they enjoy the show. We appreciate it. So, you know, for each individual person, man, we're just going to keep building as we go along, man, and we're going to keep having these conversations that take place between a husband and wife in the privacy of our own home, man, that we bring to you guys. Want to make sure that you keep sticking with us. All right? So, of course, as always, I'm Kaz.
And I'm Queen.
And this is According To Kaz Queen. We will see you guys next time. All right? Peace out.